They said Jane's little dream would never work. Then one tiny order changed everything. Soft morning light settles over the cottage as Jane begins another quiet day at the wooden kitchen table. Around her are handmade pieces, packets of seeds, simple tools, folded paper, and the materials she has been preparing with care. The work is small, almost invisible from the outside, but Jane knows how much patience each finished piece requires. Before starting, she checks a message on the screen. The words are doubtful and dismissive. Someone questions whether her work will ever become anything real. For a moment, the comment stings. Jane could spend the morning defending herself, explaining every plan and arguing with people who do not understand. Instead, she closes the screen and returns to the table. There is still work to do. She sorts the raw materials, checks every small detail, and removes anything that does not meet her standard. The steady rhythm helps clear the noise from her mind. Outside the window, the garden moves gently in the morning breeze. Tiny leaves open toward the sun, reminding Jane that growth rarely announces itself while it is happening. Then she notices a small order slip waiting beside the notebook. It is only one order, but to Jane it feels much larger. Someone has trusted her enough to choose what she created. She reads the details twice, smiles, and begins preparing the parcel. Each piece is checked again, the wrapping is folded neatly, a simple thank you note is written by hand. Jane does not write about the people who doubted her. She writes only to the person who believed enough to place the order. That feels more useful. When the package is finished, she holds it for a moment and realizes that persistence has finally produced something measurable. The result is not dramatic. There is no crowd, no celebration, and no sudden promise of success. There is simply one completed order sitting on a quiet wooden table. But every larger journey has to begin somewhere. Jane steps onto the porch and lets the cool air settle her thoughts. The doubts have not disappeared, but they no longer feel as important. A real customer, a finished product, and a carefully prepared parcel say more than another argument ever could. By midday, Jane returns inside and begins preparing lunch from vegetables gathered in the garden. The sound of chopping creates a calm rhythm across the kitchen. An iron pot warms on the hearth as carrots, greens, and herbs are added to the broth. Steam rises slowly, carrying a savory scent through the cottage. Jane stirs the soup and thinks about the morning. She understands that criticism can be loud because it asks for immediate attention. Progress is quieter. It often appears as one completed task, one improved skill, one customer, or one promise kept. When the soup is ready, Jane sets the table and sits down. The meal is simple, but the pause feels earned. Sunlight crosses the wooden tabletop while the garden rustles outside. Jane takes the first warm spoonful and allows herself to enjoy the small victory. There is still a long way to go. One order does not prove that every plan will succeed, but it proves that movement has begun. After lunch, Jane washes the dishes and returns each bowl to its shelf. The workspace is cleaned, the tools are arranged, and the remaining materials are prepared for tomorrow. She does not want the excitement of one good moment to replace the discipline that created it. Consistency matters more than celebration. As afternoon turns golden, Jane sits on the porch and begins weaving with slow, practiced movements. Jane also understands that persistence is not the same as repeating the same effort blindly. Each day gives her something to improve. She notices which materials are easier to work with, which wrapping feels more secure, how long each task takes, and where small mistakes can be prevented. The first order becomes more than proof that someone is interested. It becomes useful information. Jane writes a few notes for tomorrow, not because today was perfect, but because every finished piece can teach her how to make the next one better. Quiet progress, she realizes, grows strongest when patience is joined by attention and courage to continue learning. The repetition brings another kind of calm. Threads cross, tighten, and gradually become something stronger than they were alone. Jane smiles at the similarity. A meaningful life in a dependable craft. are both built the same way. Small actions repeated with care. Twilight settles over the garden. A lantern is lit beside the porch, and Jane opens an old book beneath its warm glow. She reads without rushing, letting the words settle after the long day. Later, she secures the shutters and cleans the hearth. The cottage becomes still. Before turning out the final light, Jane looks once more at the place where the finished package had rested that morning. The table is empty now because the order is ready to begin its journey. That empty space feels like evidence. The best answer to doubt was never a perfect speech. It was patient work, a finished promise, and the courage to continue before anyone else was convinced. Under the silver moon, Jane ends the day with a simple lesson. Do not waste all your energy proving your plans with words when steady action can prove them more clearly over time.